They have a knack for radio-friendly, feel-good pop tunes that you just can't get out of your head. Metronomy's music has dominated dance floors and festival lineups for more than a decade. Their 7th studio album, Small World, sees the band tackle questions such as long-term romance and a return to so-called normal life. They told us more on a stop in Paris.
Metronomy, hello.
Hi.
Now, the first single from your new album is called It's Good to Be Back, and it's very good to have you back. I imagine you're referring to the global hiatus we've all experienced. So I wondered, what was it that you missed the most during that strange time? What were you most keen to get back to?
I suppose, it's weird, because to begin with, I wasn't that, bothered about not performing. It's quite nice to have a break. But I think after a while, I was like, oh, I actually quite miss, being in sweaty rooms with these guys. What about you?
I live over in America, so I always kind of once feared that something would happen in the world where I'd be separated from, home. So that was a little stressful. But it worked out fine, didn't it?
It's true. Everything's fine.
It feels so good to be back, but our love is gone. It's our favorite song, and even when I'm wrong, I still care. Yeah, I still care for you. It feels so good to be right, so unreal to be alive.
Now, the album Small World does open on an existential note. The first track is called Life and Death. We don't always associate high-quality, dancey pop with these sort of heavy questions. Were you feeling a bit introspective?
I'd kind of written most of the record and then felt like it would be a bit sort of, it wouldn't be right to not try and make a song that was a bit sort of that acknowledged at least everything that had been happening during the lockdown, being at home, spending loads of time with family. And I think probably, I'm not sure if everyone else felt the same, but during all that time at home, you end up thinking about all kinds of different stuff about if you'd ever be touring again. I think I remember thinking that for a while.
I think particularly at the beginning of the pandemic, when you didn't really know if there's going to be a vaccine anytime soon. Some people said within a year, some people said no way, 4 years the earliest. You didn't know, couldn't plan, didn't know how long you were going to be home for. And you're kind of thinking, well, I don't know how to do anything else other than make music.
Yeah.
So, what am I going to do now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, Small World is a compact, streamlined affair. I think it's about 35 minutes, and it's quite a pure, stripped-back sound. How was that? I wanted to know if it was a deliberate choice, and how was that when you were recording it, that shift towards that sound?
So after after the previous album, Metronomy Forever, which is it's 17 songs long, and it's very all over the place sonically. I was wanting to do something much more, precise and considered. And this was even before the pandemic, and also because we were suddenly not working, it made it even more important that when things were finally open, that we were ready to not to sound too kind of workman-like about it, but that we were ready to go. So in the end, it was something that I started recording alone. The whole experience of everything that was happening kind of heightened the idea that it would be this precise little kind of capsule, I guess.
Yeah, I wish things were as easy, but I might save the day. Yeah, I might change the world. Things will be fine.
Now, Metronomy are wildly successful in France, embraced by fans and critics quite early on. Joe, I believed you actually lived here.
Did. I was on the inside, yeah.
And I wanted to know how, or if, the Paris years left a mark on your sound, your style.
I think we've all been touched by the French. When we were in our mid-20s, coming to France so much was really exotic. And yeah, there's always so much cool stuff here, in music and in fashion, and I think it kind of, it's not that it just rubs off on you, it's that you're really excited by it and you wanna be involved in it. So I think we kind of enjoy our.
Yeah, it's cool. I think the thing for us that we don't take for granted as a UK-ish band, it's like we can come to France and we can spend like 3 weeks touring in France, you know, like we kind of go all over, and that's quite a special thing. It's not just like we come and we play in Paris and that's kind of it, or like we come and play a festival and that's it. Like, I think we feel like we're kind of as much a kind of as big in France as we are in the UK, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And we always get very excited about French tours because of the
Catering.
At the station, come down and you'll find me there. Yeah, I'll be waiting. I'm not going anywhere.
Now, looking back at your career and your back catalogue, your 2011 album, The English Riviera, has gone down in pop history as a classic record. You put out a new edition for the 10th anniversary last year. And one of the big hits from that album, The Bay, was covered by French singer Clara Luciani a few years ago. Did you know that in her version, everyone's naked?
Is that true?
Is that sort of suggested lyrically by the...
Les femmes sont nues, les hommes aussi. Rien à se cacher, rien à se cacher.
Wow.
Et le jeu
Well, I don't like this version.
How bad my French is. I totally didn't pick up on that.
Well, there you go.
There you go. The beef starts here, Clara.
Remove the song.
So not in keeping with the original spirit of the song.
Why is it? I mean, she slipped that in, didn't she? No, it's the same in my version. I just didn't say it, but everyone is naked.
'Cause this isn't Paris, and this isn't London, and it's not Berlin, and it's not Hong Kong, not Tokyo. If you want to go, I'll take you back one day. It feels so
And another French institution who's licensed one of your songs, The Look in this case, is the French Public Rail Network, the SNCF, for an advert. And I wondered if you had to soundtrack another organisation or service that you particularly support or enjoy, who deserves a Metronomy tune or jingle?
I once tried to write a load of jingles for a local radio station in Brighton. So I'd say local radio. I'd go for very small local radio stations and give them some jingles. Or
NHS.
oh, that's very worthy. I was going to say an oil company. Yeah, the NHS. Why not? NHS and local radio, or NHS radio. There probably is some, isn't there?
As long as you're not taking any contracts away from actual NHS jingle writers. This is how it gets privatised, you know?
Valid concern. Now, the music industry's changed quite a lot since Metronomy started out. We engage with a lot of music digitally these days, and that opens you up to new audiences, but it also complicates things sometimes. Recently, Neil Young and Joni Mitchell pulled their music from Spotify because they didn't want to be on the same platform as Joe Rogan because of his political opinions. It sparked a whole debate. What do you think about that?
I mean, you know, it's difficult for us to take some kind of stand like that. And
It's easy for Neil Young to do. It's kind of like when the Beatles weren't on any streaming platforms, like they weren't on iTunes for ages. It's like, well, you're the Beatles, so you can do that. Or like Pink Floyd, I think, were big holdouts at the beginning as well. But if you're like a mid-level band or a band who's starting out even, like everyone around you will tell you that if you like pull your music from YouTube, for example, because they've got loads of unlicensed content on there, it's like, well, then you basically become invisible, you know?
And like you say, you bring up the question that it's not just a political thing, there's also the question of artists getting paid and music getting distributed. And a lot of musicians have called out the big streaming platforms over royalties. It's a bit tricky right now. What's your take on that whole thing?
I mean, it's just like, we're just not in the sort of luxurious position where we can really decide, you know what I mean? Like you know, you kind of course, there's all sorts of like, you know, everyone should get paid more probably. But we're not really like, unfortunately, in the pecking order, if we just sort of decide like to make a stand, people will just ignore us. You know what I mean? And move away. So like, you know, you know, of course there should be better royalties for everyone, but there aren't yet.
You're embarking on a huge tour, Europe, the UK. It's quite a long time on the road. Do you have any tips or life hacks, as they're called, to staying rested, healthy, sane?
If you're flying somewhere, if you're going into a different time zone, you've got to forget about the previous time zone, you know? Don't think about what time it used to be, it's what time it is now. Live in the present. That's my power of advice.
Yeah.
I find doing laundry very, very inconvenient, so I always have enough underwear for the amount of days we're away.
127 pairs.
Pretty much.
It is a big suitcase, it's true.
Travel with people that you like, it really helps, because there's nothing more depressing. In the past, we've had the odd member of our crew who's been a bit annoying to be around, and it really bums you out.
Eat one hot meal a day. Sit down and eat a meal.
Yeah, that's quite good advice.
Metronomy, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, you caught me right on time. So for now, let's enjoy the sunshine. Well, you caught me right on time. So for now, let's enjoy the sunshine.
Special event.
Every 5 years, France 24 brings you coverage of the French presidential election. The question this year is, will President Macron be re-elected for another term? Or will he be beaten by one of the candidates determined to defeat him? France 24 will cover the electoral campaign, meeting the French people, the candidates and their supporters until the vote in April. Follow the French presidential election every day on France 24 and France24.com.